hashirim perek gimel. We continue al mishkavi balelot bikashti et shahava nafshi bikashtiv velo mitzativ. Much like we've spoken about, this book is so much about longing. I was lying on my bed, on my couch at night. I sought the one I love. I sought, but I did not find him. Right? Did not find him. I looked for him, but I couldn't find him. He wasn't there. He wasn't there for me. And right, this is the woman is speaking once again in chapter 3. She's looking for her. Excuse me. She's looking for her beloved, and she continues. Akumana ve'asoviva va'ir bashvakim uvarchavot avakshat sha'ava nafshi. Bikashti velo mitzatim. Just like when she was lying on her couch, she could not find him, so she gets up. Can't find him, so I have to go look for him. I rise, I roam the town through the streets and through the squares. I must seek the one I love. I sought but not found him. When I read this pasuk, I think of the sort of the Marc Chagall paintings where you have, the Eastern European town and sort of like the image of a woman sort of like flying around the town. And the beauty of his paintings, she's looking for him, but she can't find him. And then find verse 3, Mitzauni hashomrim hasovim ba'ir et shava nafshi reitem. I saw the watchmen who patrol the town. Have you seen the one I love? Have you seen it? Kimat she'avarti mehem ad shematzati et shav nafshi achaztiv velo arpenu ad she haveotiv el beit imiv el cheder horati. Scarcely had I passed them when I found the one I love. I held him fast. I would not let him go till I brought him to my mother's house, to the chamber of her who conceived me. So I'm looking, I'm searching for the one I love. And it's saying that this idea of searching and looking, it's not so simple. Things don't just fall into your lap. You have to be persistent for things to happen, right? Even at a time of night, and there are those who write, especially if you want to look at this, it's not just about love between a man and a woman, but an allegory about the love between God and the Jewish people. When it's night, when it's dark, it doesn't seem like we don't see God, right? It seems like God is behind the lattice work, like it says in yesterday's chapter. We have to look out, we have to stroll, we have to look around, and it's not so easy to find. And maybe with the help of others, maybe with the help of quote unquote the watchman, I can find him and I can hold him. And that's, here the beginning. And then she continues, she says a number of times in this book, so I adjure you, O maidens of Jerusalem, by gazelles or hinds of the field, do not wake or rouse love until it please. She's looking, but she knows she has the person who she loves. But it's not so easy. You can't just force things. Things can't be forced in such an easy fashion, right? And it says a few different things here. Is she offering advice to them? Is it like the wedding songs? As I said, some of the commentaries trying to understand the origins of this book. So is she giving sort of advice to the other women who are looking for a spouse and who are at a wedding? Is it just a larger? Is it an attempt of sort of vulnerability? Right? She has this intensity of her longing and her loving, and she's letting people know about it. And so a lot of different ways that sort of it's understood and done, sort of in that analogous fashion. There are those who try to explain that maybe it represents some sort of spiritual consciousness of Bnei Yisrael, the shared longing and seeking closeness with the divine. Right? What we're saying is you can't force the spiritual awakenings. It just sometimes, if you try it happens. And so there's longing, there's a love, there's desire here, but it takes patience, and it takes time. It's not something that just happens so easily, as she says over and over again to the Benot Yerushalayim. It's not just something that's going to happen. We think about our history as a Jewish people, that it took a long time to return to Israel. It wasn't just something that happened so easily. There was the kol dodito fake, the knocking on the door, and we have to hear that knock and understand the value and the importance of returning to Israel, whether we're in Israel, whether we're in the diaspora. But there is that knocking. Now in verse 6, it seems that this is maybe a communal voice, a narrator voice. Mizot olam bin hamidbar kitimrot ashan mikuteret moru levana mikol avkat rochel. Who is she that comes up from the desert like columns of smoke and clouds of myrrh and frankincense, of all the powders of the merchant? And in those ways, right, is it a communal voice? Is it more the voice of the man? Who, right, because he's saying, who is she who comes up, and it has a lot of what we've had the descriptions of him, the beautiful smells, the powders, the merchants. It's somebody who is not working hard in the field. Hine mitato shel Shlomo shishim giborim saviv lamigo borei Israel. There is Shlomo's couch, or Shlomo's bed, encircled by 60 warriors of all the warriors of Israel. Those who understand the book as on this, again, the secondary level of the analogy. This refers to the Beit HaMikdash, which was carried in the wilderness, and it's surrounded by 60 men, the 600,000 men in the census of Bnei Yisrael, and referring to Moshe and Aaron and great scholars and great leaders of our history. Kulam achuzei cherem melunde milchama ish charbo al yirecho mipachad balelet. All of them trained in warfare, skilled in battle, each with a sword in their thigh, because of the terror of the night. And think about it. If this is again about the love of God and the Jewish people, we need to protect that. We know that we have always basically been a minority in a majority culture. Even in Israel today, where we have our country, it's surrounded by a different majority culture. The world of Islam, we're not the majority. We need to be vigilant. We need to protect that love, that relationship. In the same way, in the last chapter, we talked about the wolves that were around. Continuing verse 9, Pasuk 10. Apirion asalo amel Shlomo meitzei alavonon. King Shlomo made him a palanquin of wood from Lebanon. Amudav asa chesef refidato zahav merkavo argaman tocho ratzuf ahava mibnot Yerushalayim. He made it posts of silver, its back of gold, its seat of purple wool. Within it was decked with love by the maidens of Jerusalem. Right? There's a whole description here as to the beauty and the hope. Here, there's a whole the love is there, and the preparation for the love is there. If it's the Jewish people's love for God, they waited, and at the right time, when God told them, God told David, you can't build the Beit HaMikdash, but when Shlomo did it, he built this house that demonstrates the love between God and the Jewish people. So the image of King Shlomo and his if we understand this, those who understand this being sort of his wedding procession, and it reflects the covenant between God and the Jewish people, or it shows the great love between two people. Continuing verse 11, Se'ena urenena b'not Sion ba'melech Shlomo ba'atara shitro lo imo b'yom chatunato uv'yom simchat libo. So the maidens of Zion, go forth and gaze upon King Shlomo, wearing the crown that his mother gave him on his wedding day, on his day of bliss. There was a famous book in Eastern Europe, Se'ena Ure'ena, especially amongst communities where women were were not really educated. This book, Se'ena Ure'ena, was a book on Parsha with some Midrash that was studied by women. Thankfully, today women's education, at least in our communities, Torah education, regular education, is well beyond just that. But right, if what are we talking about here? Those who understand as the tent of meeting, the Beit HaMikdash, is what this is referring to. B'yom chatunato, b'yom simchat libo. Come and see the beauty of Shlomo on this day. And this verse, by the way, is cited in the Mishnah, Masechet Tanit, when it talks about the happiest days of the year, the days of Yom Kippur, and the days of Tu B'Av. It says B'yom Chatunato in the Mishnah is Matan Torah, Simchat Libo is Binyan Beit Hamikdash, is what the Mishnah says. that these were days of great joy because they were days of a connection between God and the Jewish people. We understand Matan Torah as the relationship between God and the Jewish people, right? We talk about the earth and the heavens being like the witnesses, and it's like a chuppah, the mountain next to the Jewish people, and so understanding it in that way, or we understand this as, sort of in the regular relationship way, the joy and the happiness that comes at the wedding. There's been longing, there's been a desire between the man and the woman here. They're looking for each other, and there are these moments where they have been able to be together. As I've said many times in this book, what we'll see and we'll continue to see is that there is this longing, but it's very hard for them to find each other. At times they do find each other. You think about relationships, not necessarily a relationship with your spouse, but relationship with friends, with different people. It waxes and wanes. There are times where your relationships are stronger, where you see somebody regularly, where you're closer, you can share more of your details of your life. And there are times that you feel more distant for whatever reason. I can't talk to them. I can't share this aspect of my life with them right now, or physical distance, or whatever it might be. And that's a big sense of this book, and that's true with God as well. There are times in our lives we feel stronger, a greater connection with God. Maybe it's, for some people, it's when you're in times of sorrow. For some people, when you're in times of great joy. And we have this, but the longing is there as part of the key. The drisha, the doresh, the searching is one of the big parts of this book and part of the important parts of this book. And as we said yesterday, it's hard not to think with the longing and her searching. And, like I said yesterday in Heschel, man in search of God is a big aspect. We need to be searching out. It's not so easy to find God. It's not so easy to connect with the divine at times, but a big aspect of this book is seeing that love. And again, come back to some of these things we mentioned before, and that is part of the reason for Rabbi Akiva that this book is Shir hashirim, is Kodesh Kedoshim. It's part of the reason why it's the Holy of the Holies. Rabbi Akiva, who came to God, came to Torah later in life, and it was about his search. It was about his drive and his mission to be part of the conversation of Torah, the conversation of a relationship with God. And that is what we have here, whether it be, again, with other people, or whether we see it as an allegory, as a metaphor for the relation between God and a specific person, or the Jewish people in general.